Hey everyone, and welcome back to another breaking news update. My name is Jimmy Boyd, and you were watching Boyd News. Want to thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm back with another update coming out from the war between Russia and Ukraine, and I've got a very big lineup of news to share with all of you today. Today's date is July 16th, 2025, and it's Wednesday. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Hope you're all having a wonderful day today. We've got a lot of news to cover. Let's go ahead and get right into this. We're going to start out with a massive story out of Ukraine as last night Russia launched somewhere around 400 drones into Ukraine. Lots of damage to report today. Many people being injured in these strikes. We've got a very big report regarding a Polish factory that was directly targeted yesterday in Ukraine. So take a look at your screen here. Russia destroys a Polish-owned factory with drones in central Ukraine. Russia's latest overnight drone strikes on Ukraine hit a Polish factory in the central city of Vinnytsia in what Poland's foreign minister described on Wednesday as a targeted attack. So this is a picture coming out from this event, and I believe this factory was hit by numerous drones, maybe 3 or more drones. And again, Poland's foreign minister today stating this was a deliberate attack on this facility, according to the owner or the manager of this company. Now, this is just a regular factory inside of Ukraine producing wooden flooring for homes, and the Russians went ahead and attacked it overnight, just a little bit southeast of, or southwest, excuse me, of Kiev in central Ukraine. So we're going to talk more about that. I'll show you guys footage of that. We've got a video clip to show you. We also have information that a Russian Mi-8 transport helicopter has crashed in far eastern Russia. This is once again more losses for Russian aviation. We've been reporting that a lot recently. Ukraine's been destroying Russian helicopters, aircraft, the strategic bombers that were struck last month in early June. So another hit for Russia's Air Force. We also have information today that Volodymyr Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, was in an interview with Newsmax, and he made some statements regarding the war today that I'd like to show you guys. So lots of things to cover. Let's go ahead and jump right into this. Let me start sharing all the details from this war today. Let's hop on over here to X with Nexta. Breaking: Russian drones strike the factory of the Polish group Barlinek in Vinnytsia. Casualties reported. This was reported by the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Poland, Radoslaw Sikorski. The minister emphasized that the strike was deliberate and carried out from 3 directions. 3 people were injured, 2 of them with severe burns. Putin's criminal war is approaching our borders, the minister said. Barlinek is a company that manufactures parquet boards. Yeah, it's literally just wooden flooring here. And we have the Russians once again targeting civilian infrastructure inside of Ukraine, trying to destroy factories, all kinds of manufacturing facilities, their entire civilian infrastructure in Ukraine just being battered nightly by drones and missiles. Take a look at this video, about 55 seconds. All right, pretty horrible footage to have to look at here, but once again, the Russians targeting civilian infrastructure, and it seems like what Russia's plan, and has been this way for a long time now, is Russia just trying to hammer civilian targets, knock out Ukraine's economy, and force people to flee the country so Ukraine can collapse, make it easier for Russia to take over the nation of Ukraine. So absolutely insane what we're seeing here. I've got a statement from Sikorski today as well. This is Radoslaw Sikorski, the foreign minister out of Poland. And he says Russian drones struck the Barlinek Group factory in Vinnytsia. The plant manager told me just now that it was deliberate from 3 directions. There are injuries, including 2 people severely burned. Ukrainian services are responding, as is our consulate. Putin's criminal war is getting closer to our borders. Yeah, very dangerous, guys. It's a Polish-owned factory inside of Ukraine, and I understand Ukraine is a war zone right now, but what is the significance of this strike? Did it have any connection to Ukraine's military? I don't know that for sure. But from what we understand, this is literally just a basic company producing wooden flooring for homes. So absolutely insane. Now from Savchenko, Volodymyr Zelensky says the liquidation of the consequences of the night Russian attack continues. Vinnytsia, Dnipro, Kharkiv, Odessa regions were under the main strike. Russia's not changing its strategy, and to effectively counter this terror, we need to a systematic strengthening of defense, more air defense, more interceptors, more determination so that Russia feels our response. Some pictures coming out from numerous regions of Ukraine showing firefighters responding to many different fires that broke out due to drone attacks. And again, about 400 drones going into Ukraine overnight. Ukraine's air defense teams shot down a good majority of these, but a lot of these definitely hitting their targets inside of Ukraine in multiple cities. Here's another one from Ukrainian Review. Shahed struck a 9-story residential building overnight in Kramatorsk. Kharkiv was hit by a massive strike this night. Civilian infrastructure was damaged and destroyed. The enemy hit Kryvyi Rih with ballistic missiles. An industrial enterprise was destroyed. There are power and water supply disruptions. Vinnytsia and the Vinnytsia region were also hit by nighttime shelling. Civilian infrastructure in the city was damaged. Here's some more pictures coming out from Ukraine. Looks like an apartment home right on the top taking a direct hit from a Russian drone. Here's another what looks like maybe a factory or warehouse that was burning down to the ground after it was hit inside of Ukraine as well. Again, so look at these. Are these military targets? These are clearly not. These are civilian infrastructure inside of Ukraine being blown up once again. Now from next, a never-before-seen attack on the night of July 16th. Occupiers hit Kryvyi Rih with a ballistic missile and 28 shaheeds simultaneously. Head of the city's defense council, Alexander Vilkul, reported a 17-year-old boy was injured with a wound to the abdomen. Vinnytsia also endured heavy assault. About 30 shaheeds struck the city, damaging 4 residential buildings and leaving serious injuries. Ismail district in Odessa region and Kharkiv were once again targeted. Yeah, I think one of the main attacks was on Kharkiv towards the beginning of the night yesterday. There was somewhere like 100 drones flying around in eastern Ukraine, and Kharkiv was under heavy attack last night. But this is a picture of Kryvyi Rih. This is where Volodymyr Zelensky grew up at, and this is a town that has been hit numerous times as well. It hasn't been hit recently, but again, it was attacked last night by a ballistic missile and 28 Shahed drones. This is a picture of a massive fire that broke out there at night. You can see here, a lot of people don't even have power. This is a town that's been struggling with power, and they've been trying to conserve it for a long time as well due to Russian strikes. So now moving on to UA Voyager. Not a good morning in Ukraine. Again, a massive wave of Shaheeds rained down last night. Kharkiv, Vinnytsia, Kryvyi Rih, Sumy, Odessa, Kramatorsk, Donetsk region. No safe place, no pause, just pain. Every day morning is what he says. Here's another picture coming out from Ukraine showing massive fires. Just look at the sky filled up with smoke once again. And this is not Kiev right now, excuse me. Kiev actually has not been attacked for 2 nights in a row now, the capital of Ukraine. And that's because we have the special envoy from the Trump administration, Keith Kellogg. He's there for an entire week. And Zelensky's actually going to make a comment about that right now here in just a moment. When I show you guys the reports of him having an interview today, he's going to comment on Keith Kellogg being there. So yeah, just check that out. Major destruction in Ukraine again. Here's another report from Max 25. The Russians hit Aurora store in Dobropilya, Donetsk region with KABs. Those are guided aerial bombs. A large number of victims are known. Look at this, guys. Just bombs landing right here in the middle of the city of Dobropilya, in the Donetsk region in southeastern Ukraine. A few different pictures coming out. Lots of destruction here. Cars being blown up. It looks like this bomb fell right here in the center of this town. We've got massive damage here to another building. It looks like probably a business right there, or maybe people's homes. Lots of reports of victims here, of people being injured in this attack today. This actually just happened earlier this morning inside of the city in the Donetsk region. Now for Max 25, Russian FPV drones have begun attacking Sumy. The photo shows one of the UAVs that was shot down 300 meters from the city. Okay, this is not good news. We've been hearing that Ukraine has been pushing back the Russians in the Sumy Oblast of Ukraine, up in northeastern Ukraine, as the Russians launched an assault there probably about a month or a month and a half ago, and they were making some ground, and then all of a sudden Ukraine started to push back, And we heard that Ukraine has been able to force the Russians back in multiple areas inside the Sumy Oblast. But now we're hearing what we were afraid was going to be happening very soon was these FPV drones making their way into Sumy as the Russians were really closing in on this city. This is a major city up in northeastern Ukraine in the Sumy Oblast. And for the very first time, we have reports here that an FPV drone has made it within 300 meters from the city. So not good news. Ukraine's got to really try to push them back, or we're going to have a lot of FPV drones coming into the city of Sumy, just like we see down in southern Ukraine and Kherson, where I've been reporting to you guys that people are literally chased in the streets by FPV drones down there. Now from Erna Voychuk. Russian FPV drone struck an ambulance in Kharkiv Oblast, injuring 2 medical workers. Look at this, too. Right on the front of this ambulance, it took a direct hit from a Russian FPV drone, and looks like we had 2 medical workers being injured here. I mean, what is the point of targeting an ambulance? This is something we've seen from the Russians as well. They have targeted so many ambulances before with FPV drones. I've probably reported this at least 5 times throughout the duration of the time I've been here on YouTube for about a year and a half now. So absolutely barbaric attacks, what's going on inside of Ukraine. The whole world needs to see that. Now for Bliskovka, an MI-8 helicopter crashed in the Khabarovsk territory. Russian Emergencies Ministry reported the crew did not survive. The helicopter disappeared on July 14th while returning to Magadan after repairs. 2 days later, the wreckage with traces of fire was found near Cape Gadakan. There were 5 people on board, 3 crew members and 2 mechanics. So yeah, far eastern Russia, okay, very close to like the border of China and close to North Korea as well. We had a Russian Mi-8 helicopter with the crew members aboard that crashed over here in the mountains. I believe it's somewhere right here. It could be this like kind of white patch here, or it could be that black spot maybe where this helicopter had crashed. It's really hard to see because this video is just so pixelated. But allegedly, they were able to find where the remnants of this crash took place at here in the mountains in far eastern Russia. So yet again, another loss for the Russian military, an Mi-8 helicopter going down. I think these things are somewhere around like 16 million, if not more. They're very expensive. So another hit to Russia's aviation industry. Now from Ukrainian Review, General Kellogg arrived and we had no massive shelling for 2 nights, says Zelensky. People are already joking. Give Kellogg a Ukrainian passport and let him live in Ukraine. This shows that Putin is afraid of America. Yeah, so this is what I was mentioning earlier, that Zelensky was making some comments on Keith Kellogg being in Kiev right now. He's supposed to be there the entire week, and I'm sure the Ukrainian people in the capital of Kiev are very happy that he's there because we're not seeing any attacks on Kiev, if you notice that. Just because the U.S. has a special envoy there right now, this really shows. I mean, I have to agree with Zelensky. This shows that Putin is afraid of America. He's afraid to launch an attack over there if something were to happen to Keith Kellogg, then obviously the U.S. is not going to be very happy with that, right? So yeah, that's what he was stating during this interview. And there's a joke going around inside of Kiev right now, give him a passport, let him live in Ukraine, so that way there won't be any more strikes inside of Kiev. Now for Max 25, Zelensky says, Trump realizes that Putin is lying to him and it is important that Trump sees this for himself. Biden was not able to end this war. I'm confident that President Trump can do it. I think that will be the main difference. So Zelensky believes that Trump's going to be able to end this war. He's also stating that Trump is realizing now that Putin is lying to him. And I think based on the statements coming out from Trump recently, he is starting to realize that now. He is making some moves. Maybe not as aggressive of moves that maybe some of us would like, but he is making some moves now, starting to support Ukraine, putting some pressure onto Russia, trying to force them to the negotiating table. We'll see what happens at the end of these 50 days with this whole ultimatum with Russia. If they don't agree to a settlement with Ukraine, which most likely is not going to happen, let's see what the Trump administration decides to do. But that was Zelensky today. Here's another statement from Max 25. Zelensky says, why is Putin afraid of the end of the war? One of the reasons is that these people will return home. They are psychologically unstable. They did not fight to protect their homes. Russia still does not have a plan for what to do with them when they return. Yeah, that's something to think about. I mean, a lot of these men that are being sent into the war in Ukraine, they're not necessarily defending their homeland. They're attacking another nation and killing innocent people pretty much every single day. Okay, so imagine the psychological effects that all these soldiers on the Russian side are constantly enduring every single day. Yeah, I'm sure it's definitely negatively impacting these people who are on the front line. So imagine when this war does come to an end and all of them come back home, they're going to have a lot of issues. Imagine all the things they're seeing in war. I mean, I'm sure the Ukrainians are undergoing the same exact thing, but they're also dealing with it from a different perspective. They're dealing with it as well. We got to defend our homeland because we're being attacked. It's a completely different mindset. So yeah, I'm sure Russia's going to have some issues when they try to bring their soldiers back home. Now, for Max 25, the U.S. wants to buy Ukrainian drones, says Zelensky. I told Trump that I really want to buy things from you and that only you have. And he replied that America wants to buy Ukrainian drones. I really want America to help us protect our sky. This is very important, he said. So I wonder if Zelensky's going to try to make some sort of deal with Trump to say, hey, we'll give you some drones. Maybe we give you drones, you exchange some weapons with us. Give us some Patriot systems, give us more interceptors, some other type of air defense systems. Who knows what's going to come from that? But Zelensky allegedly stated that during the interview as well. So it looks like they might try to make some sort of deal to trade drones for some other type of weaponry to defend their skies. Now from Liskovka, the SSU detained 2 traitors who were preparing one of the largest sabotage attacks by Russia in the Odessa region. The enemy agents were a 29-year-old local resident and his 56-year-old accomplice. They were preparing a missile strike by Russians against a nitrate storage facility in one of the region's ports. The offenders are in custody and face life imprisonment with confiscation of property. So these are pictures of the 2 people who were caught inside of Ukraine in the Odessa region preparing sabotage attacks by Russia. And apparently they were trying to help the Russians bomb a nitrate storage facility at one of the ports down in Odessa. This is in southern Ukraine. And Ukraine's SSU, their security service, was able to locate these traitors, and they have detained them and most likely will be imprisoned. Now from Ukrainian Review, on July 23rd, a meeting of countries that own Patriot systems and Ukraine's partners will take place, the goal of which is to find additional Patriot batteries for Ukraine, according to Reuters today. The meeting will be chaired by NATO's top military commander. Okay, so we're going to have a meeting pretty soon in regards to Patriot systems for Ukraine, and apparently they're trying to locate more of these systems, and we just heard, what was it, yesterday or the day before, Trump was coming out saying that Ukraine was going to be receiving like 17 of these Patriot systems from some unknown countries. We don't know where they were going to be coming from. So I thought that was interesting. Why are they needing to look for more Patriot systems if they had 17 lined up? There's a lot of holes within some of these stories coming out from Trump where he's stating that there's equipment going over to Ukraine, and then some other countries are saying that's not true. I don't know what's going on here. But allegedly, they're trying to look around the world to see where they can get more Patriot systems for Ukraine, and a major meeting is supposed to be set up here in about a week on July 23rd. Now for Max 25, Trump on Patriots to Ukraine. They are already being shipped. They are coming from Germany, then they are replaced by Germany, and in all cases, the United States receives full payment. Reporter says, has Melania influenced your thinking on Russia-Ukraine? Trump responds, she's very smart, she's very neutral, she's sort of like me, she'd like to see people stop dying. Trump on the war in Ukraine. I think that the whole thing is going to go away eventually. So Trump believes that this war is going to end soon. He's commenting on his wife, Melania, as just the other day he was stating that Melania was reminding him that Ukrainian cities were being hit by Russian missiles and drones, although he would get off the phone with Vladimir Putin, the Russian president, and he would say, oh, what a nice conversation that was. And then right around the corner, an hour later, we'd have Ukrainian cities being bombed by the Russians. So he's starting to really realize that Putin is playing him like a fiddle. And then on top of Patriots here, again, we're hearing more talk from Trump. He's saying that Patriots are on their way to Ukraine. They're already being shipped, coming from Germany. We don't know how many they're going to be. And apparently they're going to be replaced by Germany. So very interesting. And right now, Germany is classifying all their equipment that goes to Ukraine. So we have no idea on any of the numbers here. Germany probably will not announce it. I think what we will see is inside of Ukraine, if we happen to see more missile attacks onto Ukraine and we start to see somewhere between like a 95% plus success rate, that will really show how many of these Patriot systems are going into Ukraine. If the skies get closed and missiles are not striking Ukraine nearly as much or maybe not at all, that's how we'll be able to tell that these really are showing up over there, at least in my opinion. Now from Ukrainian Review, Trump did not warn EU leaders that they would buy weapons from the U.S. for Ukraine, according to Reuters. Negotiations on supplying weapons to Ukraine under Trump's proposed schemes are slow. There is still no agreement on who will transfer what. Some leaders were caught off guard by Trump's statement about buying weapons from the U.S. for transfer to Kiev. So take a look at this. Ukraine celebrates Trump's weapons reversal, but the devil's in the details. You can see the date here, July 16, 2025. So allegedly, according to this report, Trump did not inform any EU leaders that they were going to be buying weapons for Ukraine from the U.S. So how is that possible? I mean, even NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte, he was talking about that as well, that Europe was going to be funding the purchase of weapons for Ukraine. And this would be funded by NATO, and these weapons would be bought directly from the U.S. So I don't know how they coordinated that, and EU leaders had no idea this was even coming. See, if you see what I'm talking about here, there's lots of holes within this story. It's really hard to tell if they're manufacturing some sort of like situation that looks as if things are not properly communicated back and forth inside of NATO, if they're doing that on purpose. I don't know if they're trying to create confusion on purpose. It's really hard to tell, but definitely a lot of like back and forth reports here in regards to, EU supplying weapons for Ukraine, and then the US supposed to be backfilling those supplies and refilling stocks for Europe. So very interesting. Now we've got a report here from Megatron Ron breaking. France, Hungary, Italy, Czech Republic, and Germany have declined the offer to purchase weapons from Donald Trump. Multiple European media report. Yeah, so apparently now we've got reports today that multiple countries in Europe are declining purchasing weapons from the U.S. That even though apparently some countries had no idea that they were going to be buying these weapons from the U.S., they're coming out saying they don't want to buy weapons from the U.S. to fund Ukraine. Maybe they want to find other ways to get weapons to Ukraine, and we've been hearing that Europe right now, they really want to step away from relying on the U.S. and their support, because the U.S. is a very unreliable partner. The Europe stands very firm together as unified, and then when it comes to Trump, we don't know how Trump's ever going to respond in the future. So Europe wants to remain independent and try to fill up their own reserves of military weapons, supply support to Ukraine as well independently without the U.S. support. So we're starting to see that now. Numerous countries do not want to purchase weapons from the U.S. Now from Max 25, Trump woke up a journalist in the middle of the night to give an urgent interview where he said he was deeply disappointed with Putin. So take a look at this. Trump woke me up in the middle of the night to give an interview, what we talked about. This was from the BBC. So yeah, apparently Trump held some sort of interview in the middle of the night where he wanted to talk about Putin. That's very interesting. Now we have been seeing that Trump is very unhappy, with Vladimir Putin right now. I don't know the details of this interview, but if we get some information on that, if it gets published later or something, I will definitely show you guys some of the details there. But it looks like he wanted to talk about Vladimir Putin. Now from Global Reports breaking, a fight broke out in the Ukraine's parliament between Oleksiy Goncharenko of the European Solidarity Party and Danilo Getmantsev of the Servant of the People Party. Member of Parliament Victoria Siumar stated that the dispute arose over a bill proposing to tax soybean farmers while exempting large traders from the duty. So it looks like we had some members of Parliament here getting into a shoving match. It's going to be right over here. You can see them when they zoom in here. Looks like they weren't very happy with some sort of proposal regarding taxes on soybean farmers. So yeah, definitely some sort of escalation going on here within the Ukrainian parliament today. Now from NOAA Reports, Ukrainian Miltech Project Odin has rolled out its anti-Shahed system using high-speed wind-hit drones to intercept Shahed and Gran UAVs. Already active in combat, these 300-kilometer-per-hour interceptors are launched from mobile, handheld, and airborne platforms, military reports. So here's some pictures coming out of these drone interceptors. Okay, there's numerous different types that Ukraine has right now, but this is one project here called Odin. These are anti-Shahed drone interceptors. These are designed to take down incoming Shahed drones from the Russians, and we've been hearing that Ukraine is massively producing a lot of these right now, which is very good news to hear. And here's just one of the few projects inside of Ukraine that they're working on right now. Now from Bliskovka, the Verkhovna Rada has allowed citizens age 60 plus to enlist in the army. According to UP, This refers to citizens who are recognized as fit by the Military Medical Commission. Such contract soldiers will be able to hold non combat positions of private, sergeant, or sergeant major, as well as junior or senior officers. All right, so Ukraine's parliament passing some laws over here that are allowing any citizens that are age 60 plus to enlist into the army. Okay, so that's good in some ways, but it looks like they'll be filling some non-combat roles on the back lines, maybe to also help free up a lot of soldiers that can move to the front. As we are hearing that things are very tense along the front line right now. The Russians are launching a lot of attacks, so it looks like they're trying to find other ways to free up some of the soldiers on the back end that could possibly be on the front lines to help defend Ukraine. So this is kind of good and bad, right? These are a lot of elderly people, but if they want to and they choose to do this voluntarily, they can enlist into the military in Ukraine if they're 60 plus. Now from Tartarigami, if I'm saying that right, UA. The situation in the Pokrovsk area is currently critical and is likely to deteriorate further in the near future. Okay, so I wanted to pull this up, and I don't have any information to back this yet. Now, I'm very interested in this story here, and I'm going to do more research, see if I can find where he might be mentioning this from. But the city of Pokrovsk in the Donetsk region, we've been talking about that for a very long time. This is a major transport and rail hub city in the southeastern side of Ukraine. And Ukraine has been doing an amazing job for months now, probably well over a year actually, holding out in this city and stopping the Russians from getting even anywhere close to it. And now we're starting to hear, at least from this source here, that the Pokrovsk area is currently critical. It's not in good shape right now and could be possibly lost in a short time. And we have been hearing that, if Vladimir Putin told Trump apparently on July 3rd that they're planning to increase their operations. They want to push forward inside of Ukraine. They want to secure the entirety of the 4 regions they're fighting for inside of Ukraine. That includes the Donetsk region. So I'm curious to see what's going to happen with this. I'm going to look for more information, see if I can find out any info to back this statement here. But it looks like possibly in the Pokrovsk area, things are not looking good for Ukraine. So that's not good to hear. Now from NOAA reports, defensive fortifications on Ukraine's eastern front. These positions are reinforced with trenches, concrete shelters, and layered fire zones. Yeah, I want to show you this because we actually showed you a report, I want to say about 4 or 5 days ago, maybe a week at the most, of fortified positions that were being erected in the eastern and northeastern sides of Ukraine. And these are just literally behind the Donetsk regions, Luhansk, Kharkiv regions. And these are set up just a little bit far away from the front line, so that way if the Russians happen to break through the front line, they'll be met here with some major resistance by the Ukrainians. So somebody was recording this in eastern Ukraine. Take a look.
Вот это уже более что-то похоже на линию обороны. То видела там в ТикТоках, в видосах, просто там одна фигня и вот эти зубы дракона не закрепленные. А тут прям так все максимально сделано. 3 ряда. Метров 500 марш-бросок такой какой-то надо сделать суровый. Вот такое вот оно высокое, глубина, наверное, метра 4.
All right, we'll go ahead and pause it there. We can see these massive defensive lines that have been erected, these giant trenches. Look at those dragon's teeth right there, as well as like 3 rows of dragon's teeth. Let me go back here. This is the woman that was recording this. So yeah, we've got all these dragon's teeth here. We've got all these different trenches inside of them. There's barbed wire. There's 1, 2, 3, looks like 3 different trenches here with all these different lines of dragon's teeth. Looks like more dragon's teeth over there as well. I wouldn't even be surprised there's mines planted over here also. So Ukraine is preparing for the Russians to possibly break through the front line, and if they do, they've got these massive defensive positions to hold the Russians back. And this could be one of the final stands here to really hold Russia from pushing further into Ukraine. And these lines are just really being erected. These are massive defensive lines in Ukraine. And they're getting ready for a major fight with the Russians in the future if they happen to break through the front lines. Now for Max 25, the Russian army attacked Ukraine overnight with an Iskander-M ballistic missile and 400 strike drones. Air defenses destroyed 198 drones, and another 145 were suppressed by electronic warfare. So yeah, about 401 total munitions going into Ukraine overnight. 198 of these drones shot down, 145 suppressed by electronic warfare. So very good to see some good numbers here of a lot of them being shot down or brought down by electronic warfare. But Otherwise, we did have some massive destruction inside of Ukraine. You guys saw those reports I showed you there. So, pretty horrible. Now, from Kiev Independent, these are the indicative estimates of Russia's combat losses as of July 16th, according to the Armed Forces of Ukraine. In our final update of the day, Russia's losses as of July 16th: 1,170 troops, 2 AFVs, 82 vehicles and fuel tanks, 3 tanks, 49 artillery systems, 284 UAVs, and 2 anti-aircraft warfare systems. Now, this is interesting. We haven't reported these in a while. Looks like we had some air defense systems being knocked out over the last 24 hours. I haven't seen any reports talking about that, so I haven't been able to confirm it, but that's what Kiev Independent is reporting today. Aside from that, artillery systems, about average 20 to 50 is kind of what we see regularly each day. Tanks and AFVs still a little bit low, not too much being destroyed. Same with vehicles and fuel tanks, about average. Same thing with troop numbers. We've been seeing anywhere from like 900 to 1,200. It kind of fluctuates every day. But aside from that, about average numbers here, guys. I want to thank you very much for being here for today's update on July 16th, 2025. And I hope you guys all have a wonderful day today. Thanks so much for tuning in. Let me know what you think about all these details down below in the comment section. That's going to be it for today's update. If you got something out of this, please smash that like button. Also, if you enjoy my content, please consider subscribing down below. Hit the notification bell. That way YouTube can notify you. And with that, hope you all have a great day. Everybody take care and God bless. And we'll see you in the next one.